time to start. We will start off as we always do in our country. We'll take advantage of the ability to pray and to salute our flag. We've been that way for a long time. Hopefully our country will continue that way for a long time. I made the joke that when Randy and I were younger, we played softball against each other. The young kids we played with made us look really good, but I do remember Randy voicing some prayers before games. We started as a church league, so that's why we'll let Randy voice our prayer. And then, Bob, if you would, we'll let you lead the pledge of allegiance. Randy?
Just bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the blessings of life. We thank you for the privilege we have in this country to gather together to go over issues and solve problems and have this great government. We pray that you will be with those tonight that are making decisions, that they will listen to what is being said and take it and put you at the forefront of their thoughts so that whatever they do and say will be your will. Forgive us all our many wrongs. In Christ's name.
Please join me in a salute to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Randy. We'll go ahead and open up this regular meeting of the Public Works Authority and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rodoff?
Yes.
Trustee Juven?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Moving on to our first action item. We see some faces we know and some faces that we will now know. So from BOK, and it's consider and adopt resolution PW 1201 authorizing Authority Series 2003 revenue bonds. I'll open that up and Steve, what you want to
Well, I'd like to introduce Chris Gander and Bill Strecker, and as you know, we were talking about refinancing our 2003 bonds to save the city money. Chris, you want to walk us through these next two items?
Chris Byron, bond attorney who put the resolutions together. So really, if you have any questions, he's the man. But you were us here 2 weeks ago to talk about refinancing. This is the official action to proceed with refinancing. As I said that night, the day we actually market the bond, that's when we come back and someone will be authorized to sign what's called the bond purchase agreement, and we'll actually have the exact rate, making sure we're inside the parameters, and then the numbers we're showing you savings tonight will be the same then. And so with that, unless there's questions, hoping you will approve the resolution.
Any questions?
You're going to see that the local banks have an opportunity to bid on these bonds.
Correct. The underwriter is the banker group, and they're one of the larger distributors to banks. So they'll certainly call on all your local banks to purchase.
And I've already talked to GW and to FA, and they're aware of it.
Okay. Well, good. I'd like to see the local banks. Thank you, Jason. Okay.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from anyone in the audience related to this particular item? Not seeing any. Entertain a motion to approve resolution number, that's not what they used to be, PW 1201. Thank you very much.
I make a motion we approve resolution PW 1201.
Second.
Trustee Juven?
Yes.
Trustee Rodoff?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. I was gone last weekend and, or last meeting, last week. I was here last week. I want to thank Steve. I know this was discussed previously, but I want to thank Steve. I think working with the staff, it's an outstanding way to save the city money, and I appreciate it because a lot of times things like this, it just doesn't come to the front of your mind. You don't think about it. So I appreciate the effort put into it, and I'm excited. Next action item, consider and adopt resolution PW 1202. And this is a follow-along authorizing sale, issuance, and delivery of bonds of the authority and waiving the competitive bidding. Anything to say, Steve? Or
No, I'd actually refer you to Chris if you have any details, but I think this is just along that line to move forward on this, so they can,
Because this is a standard, they're normally questioned with that, the waiving competitive bidding part. And that's by state statute, when it's a general obligation bond, there's rules that have to sold to a competitive bid process. Most, I'd say over 90% of revenue bonds is a little bit different because GOs, it's kind of, it doesn't matter if it's Clinton, it's an unlimited tax, doesn't matter what town, it's people don't really have to look into what the revenue pledge is, what the coverage is. So on almost all revenue bonds, there's this way of competitive bidding statement. But we hire an underwriter, they go out and bid the bonds, I say bid, it's not the right term, but negotiate the rates with multiple banks, multiple buyers, and get the best rate possible. And that's our job to make sure that happens.
Any questions about this particular follow-on resolution from the council? Any question or comment from anyone in the audience related to this follow-along resolution? Not seeing any. Appreciate that. I'll take entertain a motion to approve resolution PW 1202.
Make a motion to approve resolution PW 1202.
Second.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Randolph?
Yes.
Trustee Bueller?
yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. City manager's report for the Public Works Authority.
Council, give you a quick update on the well we've been working on. I told you this well on Haggard Road was slightly over the DEQ regulations for uranium. Those tests came in today, talked to Jeremy, came in under the concern level, so we can move forward on that. We are, however, informing, we're still waiting for the original tests, some radion levels and radionuclides results, and when we get those, which we anticipate those to be in the levels that are safe and meet DEQ standards, we are moving forward with the landowner for the well, as well as our engineers for engineering report in DEQ to be all standards. We will move forward on this well, hopefully bring it online in the next few months. So just want to give you an update on that. And we also have had a AW Pool rehabbing the wells out of Burns Flat. Got one running, a temporary motor on it right now, and we'll continue working on those over the next few weeks. So just a quick update on our water situation. And that's really all I have in Public Works.
Any questions or comments from anyone on the council related to this report?
I think it's great. You know, if we can get this worked out, the well will make anywhere between 500 and 800 gallons per minute. We're looking at a solution, a partial solution to our problem, and would certainly eliminate water ration next time, but we still have the long term.
Yeah, I think, Steve, last night when we had the meeting for with Republic to answer questions, the award meetings for Ward 3 and 4, Steve reiterated the idea, and I think we as a council have bought into it, that even if we fix the problem we have with the water and we get to where we know we can supply all the water that the citizens need, I think it behooves us to move forward with something that looks at what will we need in 50 years with the way water is going. And I know this has not been as fast as we would like it, but I also know we could have fixed the problem fairly quickly with money. Done the temporary wells, put a skid mount platform, spent a couple million, got to water quickly, but it would not have been the most desirable situation. So we've gone through some steps here, and hopefully this will continue to pan out, and then we can look at the different options we have along with the wells we still have left. You said last night we have 3 wells left at Burns Flat Field.
Yes, and we also working on some other sections close to that with landowners, some wells on line too. And you're right, to just clarify what you're saying, is that, you know, we've been looking at a lot of things, and we have to work with DEQ all along the way to make sure we meet their needs. And sometimes even a temporary skid, you know, our old facility, it's not as quick as you may think. We found out that could be, you know, 24 months, 36 months, pending that permit process. So this is really the only way we could go, and we'll continue on with our long-term process beyond this as well. So.
Well, I know we have a lot going on, and I know when you have a lot going on in public works, you have a lot going on in building, it stretches your staff thin, so I appreciate the effort you guys are putting into it. Look forward to a good conclusion, and we can all get back to watering what we want to water. appreciate it. Any questions for Steve from anyone in the audience relating to his report? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting of the Public Works Authority.
So moved. Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Marcy? Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
Trustee Huber?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Moving on to the Industrial Authority agenda, we'll open it up and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Trustee Huber?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Trustee Marcy? Yes. Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. We have one action item, consider termination of the Brainerd Chemical lease agreement. I know we had an explanation underneath this, Steve. Can you give us an overview?
Yes, Mayor, and here's what we're looking at. Brainerd Chemical approached me a few months back, looking to possibly get out of their lease. We were interested in that, helping them if we could find a substitute to come in. We were approached by a company that is willing to come in this facility. Their Brainerd's lease expires in June 2013, so it makes good sense to move forward. What we would ask tonight is pending a new potential client agreement that you would allow Brainerd to get out of the lease. They have, there's an email in here, you can see that they have made a request to do so per conversations with me. And once we bring back another contract, then they would coincide together. So that would be the recommendation we make tonight, so we can put these in motion. And I think it's good because we can get another long-term contract with another company in that location.
Any questions for the city manager from council? Any questions related to this particular action item from anyone in the audience? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve this request that Steve has voiced.
Second.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Huber?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. And that will be pending the establishment of
A new agreement from another company.
it. Correct. Just want to make sure.
I hope they bring that back in
Okay. City manager's report for the industrial authority.
I have none.
Audience participation, I may have blown by the last one for audience participation, I apologize. This would be for, in particular, the industrial authority. If you have a specific item that relates to the industrial authority, this would be the time to bring that up. We will have a general time at the end of the city council meeting for anything that's of a general nature. Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this industrial authority, regular meeting of the industrial authority.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Marcy? Yes. Trustee Huber?
Yes.
Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes, moving on to the regular meeting of the Clinton City Council, we'll open it up. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Councilman Huber?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy? Councilman Rudolph?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith? Yes. And Mayor?
Yes, and for those, anyone who might be at the first meeting, we always entertain a motion to approve, but it's always at the happiness of the council members if they have a question or if they've located something. On most of us go through the minutes, go through when we have them, the purchase orders. So if there's ever anything, they can always bring that up and we can change that and then reconsider a motion to approve. Moving on to an action item, a presentation by Western Technology Center regarding Fryer Training Center. You gonna do this?
And I'll introduce Point Lewis and Eddie Peck from the Western Technology Center to walk you through the presentation, answer your questions about what their new facility they're looking at.
Good evening. My name's Fort Lewis. I'm Superintendent of Western Technology Center. I'm here to hopefully give you some information that you didn't have the last meeting, and also to try to answer some of the questions that you had from your last meeting. I'm kind of a visual learner, so we have a video I'd like you guys to look at, so it'll give you a lot better idea of what we're trying to talk about. I also might give you some questions that you might think of that you might want to ask. So if we could turn that on.
We won't have sound.
Okay, this is the site preparation prior to the system, training system that we might buy. There are several different systems. We're looking at one called the Tallahassee. that we really like, 5 stories high, 4 stories, and then a canopy on top. If you'll notice, they're built out of storage containers, steel storage containers. They'll bring them in here in a minute. You see the rectangular concrete piers that they have there. They'll set them on both ends. You can pour a complete concrete if you want. It would save money to do it the way they're doing it right there. Next thing we'll do is probably build to the right side of that. There are 4 by 5 tiers, and that will handle all the red iron. And these storage containers on the bottom are called burn rooms, and they're 40 foot in length. And then they will support a lot of the structure that goes up above them. These storages, this particular one will take about 4 months to build if we were to order it today. And at that time, they will bring it out on trucks, and it takes somewhere between 7, maybe 12 days to erect, and with the cranes. And you see the piers on the right side there, and that's where some of their structural steel will come down and it's help support the building. There are hydraulic roofs that you can move back and forth. Here in a little bit, you'll notice that you can do rappelling off this building. They will build staircases on this, I believe it's on this end that we're looking at right now. And most of our cities, I know Weatherford, Clinton, Elk City, all 3 of these cities just recently have built 3- and 4-story motels. And this would be able to provide the firefighters some training on how to not only get a victim out of the 2nd or 3rd story, but also about putting that fire out. I'll just kind of let it speak for itself. If you see anything that you want to ask, well, feel free to. I hope I can answer the question. I talked to the representative at Vilsey's. One of them's at Charleston, South Carolina. Another one's in Phoenix.
I apologize, I may have missed it last time. Is this a live burn? Is this going to be a live burn situation? Okay.
And you can order, there's a propane, there's computers that you can actually start the fire inside with. And a lot of suggestions have been to build steel metal containers and pallets, wood pallets in there to set them on fire. It's not what you think a lot of times. I mean, it's not going to just go across wherever you would put it and be a tremendous amount of smoke. There will be just for a second when they open the doors, but then again, it's water will be applied and the fire will be put out.
How many of the structures are you looking at?
Well, it will probably be, we'll have to have somebody that has a firefighter 1 credentials, and which is one of the things that is required of firemen. It's not something that you ever have to recertify on. There is a firefighter 2, but as needed, or whatever area, we'll be serving at least 5 counties that we represent that pay millages to our school. So it's we don't want you to think of this just as strictly, this is the biggest money item right here, but we want to build a all hazardous regional training center. We want policemen to be able to train to go up and maybe take a suspect out of the 2nd or 3rd story. We want first responders, any public or health issue, safety-wise, that your city might provide. We want to be able to train those people. First responders, police, fleet. One of the questions I do think that you had in our last meeting, and Mr. Peck, are you here? Is that I know that was the construction one. You want to show them the Lassie system that.
While he's coming, how many can be trained at a time? Like how many men or women can go through
It will
training at a
vary,
time, and how long?
but the classes usually will probably be maybe between 5 and 30 max, I would think. I do know one of the questions that you had. Here's a flashover simulator, and that's one of the other things. That this is called a prop, and I don't know if some of you guys that were familiar, I think years ago with the hydros deal where the elevator was on fire, and they lost 3 of their volunteer firemen. With this type of simulator and training that these guys could get, hopefully that wouldn't happen. That's probably, if they'd had the availability of this particular thing, it might not have been a mistake made, and lives lost. So, that's the flashover simulator. Can you flip me on the Tallahassee? I want to, there you go.
Kind of reading between the lines.
Yeah.
So that's basically a system like what we were looking at before. Is this the one on the screen right now? Is that different?
Is that the Tallahassee? It was late, okay. Yes, that's the one. And there's the backside of it, kind of.
Will you have continuous education all year long?
Yes, as needed. You know, again, we want to train firefighters, CPR, EMTs, paramedics, police training, as well as all the fire training that goes, is involved.
Is it like a month training, 6 weeks, or?
Well, it'll be basically probably day by day. The firefighter one, at this point, usually is put on by OSU fire service training out of Stillwater. And there has been a slight cost in the past, but I really think that in the long run, it will be a free, hopefully, free training for our firefighters in this area. The firefighter two, which, you know, you'd love to have, is not something that is required. And as far as, I think one of the questions somebody had, I read in the paper, was recertifying. And the firefighter one, once you get that, that's really the certification that they would like you to have. And you don't, I'm sure they'd like for you to have firefighter two, but it's not something that is required. And you don't have to recertify once you get it. And I'm sure there'll be training that you can do along with this and with this system. But there's a good picture of it right there too.
Are new volunteers, people that come on board for small community fire departments, are they required to be firefighter ones?
They should be. They should be. Again, a lot of times it's available resources, it's distances that they have to travel. One of the closest ones are Lawton, Stillwater, Choctaw, and Woodward has a small one in their area. But this would be something for all of western Oklahoma. And regardless of what city it does land in, we're going to make western Oklahoma a safer area, safer community. And it's something that I haven't talked to anybody, firefighters, policemen, EMTs. I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't have a buy-in, that doesn't think this is needed. And it's going to save some volunteers and the ones that are paid a lot of money because they don't have any, should be in the overnight stay. Most of the time you can drive into, for example, if it was in Clinton, they can come from the Texas line and go back home for the night's over. And they can come from El Reno, for that matter, Altus, leave below up in that area. I did do some checking. One of the questions also in their last meeting was, I believe, how many did we think would be training? I can tell you that I did find out in our 5-county area that we serve, there's 714 firefighters. That's paid and voluntary. I got that information from Mark Gardner. He had that information for me.
That's in the 5-county region?
In the 5-county region, 714. I said, you're pretty exact, so I'm thinking you really have the figures. He said, I promise you, he said, to give or take 1 or 2, that's pretty close. And then again, we're going to be working with all the law enforcement, EMT, paramedics, and we'll be providing that training. And what we like to do is be able to, the training that we do, it's not that we're trying to make a profit on it. What we would like to do is make enough money to pay for the instructor, and then any equipment on the wear and tear on any equipment that might be torn off or torn up in a period of time.
I'm interested in cleat. Do you anticipate, and I'm not probably as knowledgeable as I could be, do you anticipate, is it a cleat supplement? It's not going to be cleat itself, is it?
We do some fleet training over at our Weatherford campus, but on a very limited basis. The training that I would want to do in relation to, there will be classrooms available eventually wherever we put it. But the fleet training that they do is on a very limited basis.
What about a dollar value?
I will say this, on this particular system, if this would be the one that we purchase, by the time you do the site preparation, buy the system, I would say somewhere between $350,000 to $400,000.
You've got your land on top of that or whatever too.
Yes,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be including the land.
Or the classroom, you get to build classrooms later, or?
Later, we would, depends on where we put it. If it's on our Weatherford campus, we have a safety building in the back there that is already there. If it's, for example, here, and would probably have to be classroom built, and at Elk City, they have talked like they have a area we could use downtown, but it wouldn't be handy and convenient. So really and truly, the classrooms need to be wherever the system is located.
And the city would pay for the classrooms too, or would you all just pick up the
Well,
cost?
whatever your proposal is, we're looking at it being a one-time proposal. We don't plan on trying to come back and ask you for more money. The one thing that we might do, and I talked to Steve about this when we had our discussion a few weeks ago, for example, site preparation or drainage problem, we might get the city if they would kind of help us with that type of expense, because they have the equipment here. But as far as coming back, whatever proposal you do, if this is the city it lands in, we're looking at a one-time proposal.
And how much land did you need again?
We would like at least 10 acres because we feel like this thing is going to grow. But somewhere between 6 and 10 is a ballpark estimate.
And that would include the classrooms too, same
Yes,
as clinics?
yes. We'd be able to get the system on. And again, there are various props that, we'd like to look at talking to Oilfield and ONG, for example, and having them trench and put pipeline and having maybe a small fire explosion type deal and have that type training in this area too. So any hazard, any fire, police, fleet, emergency, EMT, repelling is another thing that you can do on the system also. And there's even competitions, there's some type of competition that I think firemen are entering about, where they go up and down the staircase on the side, and they pull up, hook the hose up, and then a 2 or 3 man team runs up and down this thing and goes all the way to the top and gets the water turned on, and whoever does it, there's national competition as well as state. I know Elk City, I think, placed in the state rankings and went to nationals last year in that area. Whatever town this lands in, they're obviously going to be able to enjoy probably the luxury of this more than the rest of them. But it will be we'll be cognizant of the fact that if you need training, we're going to take care of it.
What kind of dollar value would the city of Clinton be looking at infrastructure-wise? Paving, utilities, water, sewer? What do you anticipate?
I would anticipate by the time we bought the system, site preparation, props that we would buy in addition. There's a flashover simulator that I'd like to purchase at the same time we do this tower. It's about $40-something thousand, and I think it's one of the props we need, but there's several other props that eventually we want to add. And I think by the time it's over, the classrooms, the land, the systems, I'm looking probably at $1 million total.
Let me ask you another question. And maybe Randy, having this facility located in Clinton, what would that do to our community size? So what do you think that would do to our insurance rate? I don't know how that works. Would that be something that we would immediately see as a, no?
I don't think you're gonna ISO is pretty specific. Randy, you want?
ISO, they go over your training records, but as far as having a facility, that wouldn't play any part into what the rating would be. You gotta be honest, but they don't weigh that into the factoring.
I think the main thing is it's gonna make, this city and every other city in West Oklahoma safer.
Randy, I would ask you a quick question. You may not be able to answer this. I know from when I was a volunteer, the fire base in western Oklahoma is getting older. We see it in our fire department. Would you say that's equal in Elk City, Weatherford? Is that, as a rule, volunteers at the smaller community, is there an older group that when the new guys come on, they're gonna have to go through this at that 714?
Yeah, and we're starting to see a lot of new young men step into this. As he said, firefighter one is a major factor that is needed. The small departments don't necessarily understand that at this time. The liability that comes into play by not having firefighter one and having a facility like this would, if they can see and understand the liability issue it takes off of them as a chief and the city, because you're finally having the training necessary for their safety as well as for the community.
And I know that talking, when I was a volunteer, I talked to a friend of mine who's down in South Central Oklahoma, and I'm not gonna mention the fire department. And I asked him what kind of bunker gear they had, and then I asked him what kind of tanks they had, and he said, we don't. I said, what do you do when you go in on interior attack? He goes, so I know part of it is there's not the money to buy your equipment, let alone send guys to Stillwater, Lawton, whatever the case is. So it would definitely probably enhance western Oklahoma's ability to get to it, the smaller departments.
Western Technology Center, we probably have to employ, I would say, probably a minimum of 3 people to run this deal. You have to have some type of coordinator. You'd have to have a custodian and then a receptionist that can, make appointments and book a lot of these classes.
Any questions from anyone else on the council related to this particular opportunity? We've been through several things.
Well, you mentioned to me on a time frame. You're looking back from feedback from each of the communities. Did you put a date to that?
Yes, we passed that in our November, this October board meeting, November the 1st. We would like to have, by the end of that day, 4 o'clock, we'll just be specific about it, we'd like to have, if you want to choose to have a proposal, we'd like to have the end of the end, so that we could kind of look at it in the board meeting in November and possibly select the city. Very first thing we got to do before we get real specific is decide what city it's going to be in, and then what we wanted to do is be a partnership. Western would like to sit down with that community and not just we walk in and say, this is what we want. We want a mutual agreement. Everybody be in agreement on the system that we order. And we want it to be a good marriage.
Any questions from council? Any questions from anyone in the audience related to this particular opportunity? Not seeing any. I appreciate you guys being here.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome.
Thanks, guys. I would say no matter where it ends up, I spent a night in Stillwater, and it was not a good night. You went to bed tired, and the next day when you drove home, whoever got stuck driving, I forget who it was, I think it was, he went to work in the oil field. Not throwing blame, but anyway, I think he got stuck driving, the rest of us were all sleeping. It was a long couple of days, so. Make sure I can get this back to where I was.
Close it off.
There we go. Next action item. We have no action item on that.
No, I will just say this, council, you do not have a meeting until November 6th. So if you would like to make a proposal, we'll need to call a special meeting to do so. So keep that back in mind and let me know what you'd like to possibly do. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Were there fees involved for the communities who aspire and do attend this? Are there fees that are charged to the communities then for participating?
On the fireman, firefighter one, in the past, there has been a small fee from Stillwater, because they're the one that comes in and teaches that, because they've got the certified instructors. My understanding, and your fire chief, what has been your thinking on when you sent guys here lately? I understand that it's free now.
Well, the last firefighter one class we held here in Clinton. We've got, last count, I think we have 6 certified instructors. So as far as instructors go, we're not adding the expense because we have the manpower within the station to take care of that.
Firefighter two, there is though, right?
Firefighter two requires OSU FST instructors that we don't have anybody qualified to that level. We do have firefighter two qualified firemen, myself being one. But we don't have an instructor qualified to that level at this time. We've got one that's working that way, not there.
And I will say that OSU Fire Training out of Stillwater, they will be in partnership with the city and Western Technology Center in providing the training that you need in all these areas.
Randy, would you say that this would increase our ability to continue to maintain firefighters in our system who are qualified to do training? I know we've been very fortunate to have those guys. It saves us money sending people places. It gives us probably a better level. We know who's trained, who it is.
Anytime you have the tools necessary to improve on what you've got, yeah, I would agree with that. And with the base that we've got now on instructors and the young guys we've got coming in that are hungry for knowledge, yeah, I think that's a bad statement. I think that's very feasible.
Any other questions or comments from anyone in the audience related to this before we move on?
Can I ask them, what kind of economic, what kind of economic,
Impact.
yeah, could you potentially see for this type of facility?
Anything that anybody would ever tell you would be purely speculation. However, I think that you could look at 1,500 to 2,000 people coming into whatever city has this training facility on a yearly basis. Because some of them have to come back, especially in the health field. And the impact that would be with, they're gonna buy gasoline, they're gonna buy meals. I won't say that they'll stay in your motels, they might. But, a lot of them will stop on the way out and they'll stop at Kmart and maybe the jewelry store. And, the impact for you economically is gonna be your sales tax and the things that they buy when they come into your city. You're gonna have people coming into your city that might not, because we've had calls all the way from the Texas line, all out in the Texas area even, that would like to, if this, wherever it's put, they want to come to this training.
Can we sell you water?
No, but you're gonna have some water. Because you're gonna have to put that fire out.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for being here. I know it's a partnership. I love the VOTEC system. You go to other states, and I think they're envious because the opportunity to continue your education is never bad. It's always good. And I couldn't tell you the number of people I would say said, well, I went over to VOTEC and took such and such. And it gives them a skill or something they feel like they're more inclined when they go to apply for a job. It fits what employers need. And I know you guys have reached out in a lot of cases. I know Dennis Baxter and some of the other folks. I think Wade's brother has trained some for Western VOTEC, has worked for the Western VOTEC system. So we appreciate what you guys do. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, and I'd like to just bring up one more point. We've always appreciated the support we've got from Clinton. And I will tell you this, not only are we in the business and industry services, we provide a lot of training for your high school students. And This year, we've got a record number of Clinton students coming, 71, I believe, students come to Western Technology on a daily basis for classes and training. So we appreciate the support your school system has placed about the value of career tech.
It's a good system. You guys are known worldwide. So. Next action item, consider resolution 806 regarding support for Oklahoma U.S. bike routes. Route 66. Steve.
Council, I'd like to introduce from the Oklahoma Bicycling Coalition, Bill Elliott, and he's got a presentation as well. Gene, you want to help him with that? Okay.
Thank you.
Guys, be careful.
Okay, thank you.
Gene, what black you?
Yeah. It went black. Well, we got all colors up here.
Is there another computer on there on the flash drive?
Gene, why don't we let you guys fight that battle and then bounce over you and we will come back. How's that sound?
Or if I can just tell about it. I don't-
It's up to you, totally. We don't
have
mind.
many slides. Basically, there are two initiatives going on at the same time. The first initiative is development of bike maps for the Route 66 for bicyclists to ride from LA to Chicago or vice versa. That is being sponsored by the Adventure Cycling. It's an organization, and that's their specialty. They develop maps for people to ride bikes across the nation. Maps are being developed now. We're going to each community to make sure that the route, that the roads that the route follows through your community is acceptable. And also, they're collecting information about the services that that are available in your community. So it'd be things like restaurants, bike shops, hospitals, the types of things that a person would need to know as they ride through town. Those maps will be available for about $12. The experienced bicyclists that are crossing the country will buy a packet of those. Probably about 2 for Oklahoma, about 4 or 5 others to get all the way across the nation. They buy either an individual map or they might buy a full package. And with those maps, they can then find the turn-by-turn directions as well as all the services that are provided. So we would certainly welcome any input from you as far as attractions or restaurants, things like that might be good for the map. Now, the second thing that's going on is designating Route 66 as a U.S. bike route. Currently, there are U.S. bike routes throughout the nation, but none in Oklahoma. So this is the first one that would flow through Oklahoma. It's also one of the most highly anticipated and requested bike routes because people know that the Mother Road, it would be a great place to ride a bike. And we do have a number of cyclists every year that do ride already on Route 66. And this action would then make it an official bike route along with the maps, make it a very effective way for people to enjoy Route 66. So, let's see, we make sure that I don't miss anything. So, the process that we go through to make Route 66 an official designated bike route is to go to each community and get a letter of support from you. Now, what we'll do then is we'll collect up all the letter of supports from all the communities throughout Oklahoma. We'll take those to the Department of Transportation. They will then review those, make sure everything's okay, and then they will then pass those on to an organization called AASHTO, and that it stands for the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. Now, in reality, that is the organization that names highways. If you need a new highway in your community, you would go to them, and they would give you the number for that. They're also the same organization that would be establishing this bike route through the nation. The Oklahoma Bicycling Coalition has a committee of volunteers that are going to each community. Here I am today, and we are asking for you to consider this letter of support. And should you then approve that, get that to us, then we'll package that up with the others throughout the state, and hopefully get that to AASHTO. Now, what does that mean to you? First of all, with this designated as a bike route, number one, how much does it cost to you to do this? It doesn't cost you anything. You may later decide to put up some signs if you want to show that this is the designated bike route, or you don't have to because you already have the Route 66 signs along the same route. You might want to provide pamphlets or something like that to bicyclists that are coming through town to show what services, something even more complete than what the map might have. So, that's something you can consider in the future. So, obviously, bicycling is a growing sport. It promotes health. Having a designated bike route alerts the motor people, the drivers, to watch out for bicycles as they drive through town. Maybe some tourism. Bicyclists like to eat, and they like to stay at hotels, and they like to buy things, so certainly doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to have the tourism component of this. So that's it.
Well, I had one question. Said the route from South 10th to Neptune across I-40 to the west, why don't you also ought to designate, like if you get off from the west and designate Gary Boulevard, because you may not be aware of this, but we have Route 66 Museum in Clinton.
Right.
Looks like you want an area designated to go by that.
Okay, that is certainly something we want to put onto the map as an attraction.
Do they do anything, do they mark the road? I know I've seen in some states where you'll be driving along and all of a sudden there's a line over on the right with pictures of bicycles. Do they do anything like that, or is it just simply a designation with some signage?
ODOT may do that, probably not.
Probably not.
That's something that you could do if you wished. As a bicyclist, I have seen both the situations where you have a sign or on the road. Personally, I like to see them on the road. For me, it's a little easier to see. Also, the road markings don't disappear as fast as the signs.
Any other questions?
Also, probably get with our chamber, and she can probably provide brochures.
Okay.
Do most of these bicyclists like 2 or 3 at a time, or do you have groups of 25 to 30, or how does that come?
2 or 3 at a time, that's what you see. Typically, these types of tours are fairly small groups. Now, you may be familiar with a local Oklahoma tour called Freewheel, and occasionally that does come through your town. That's about 800 cyclists, but they come through onesies and twosies because it's spread out.
There is a road in Missouri, and Melissa Thompson, who works at the White Dog, and grew up with my kids. They went over, she, her brother, and my younger daughter, or younger sister, I'm sorry, went over and rode that route for 15 days. So I know there's a large group of people out there that love to do that.
There are a lot of bikers.
Maybe it's-
Missouri has the Katy Trail.
That is what they went to,
Right.
I was trying to sit
It's
there.
an abandoned railroad that they have been put crushed gravel, and then you can ride across the state. It's not on the roads at all.
It was a neat system. Anything else you want to?
Oh, thank you so much.
We appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you. Any comments?
Well, council, I'll work with Julie, and we'll get information to them if you approve the resolution. We think it's a great thing, anytime we promote Clinton, no cost to us. And I think we actually, once we work with them, we can, very inexpensively, put some small signs up on our light poles and things to promote it. So we would strongly support the resolution in their efforts.
Appreciate that. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience?
I move we adopt resolution AO6.
Second.
Councilman Murdock?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith? Yes. Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
And Hopkins?
Yes. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank
It's,
you.
That's exciting. For people who love to bike, I'm sure every time you see a road designated, they're pretty excited. There's probably a lot of people out there that's how they set their agenda. Next action item, consider approval of workers' compensation refund from the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, OMAG, for the 2009-2010 workers' compensation plan year. Love to get these. Steve, you want to tell us a little bit about
Oh,
it?
council, you saw this last year. We got a small refund. We got a much larger one this year. Very excited with a very safe staff. We'd like to, what's required here, what you want to do with the money, we recommend as previous years you've done, is to put that towards our premiums moving forward. $47,000+ is very good, so we'd like to save that money in our budgeting and move it forward.
What's great, better than the 100 we got last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some good checks over the years. What is our OMAG bill for this every year? You know, Steve, off the top of your head?
It fluctuates on the
150,000, something like that.
That's a good deal. Well, I move we accept the refund
And apply it towards the
and apply it toward the
second.
Councilman Murdock?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next action item, Mayor's proclamation honoring the 1967 Red Tornado football team. This Friday, this Friday, there will be a recognition of the 1967 state champion Clinton Red Tornadoes. That team was unique in that in '67, they were designated as the #1 team in the nation also, so they were not only the Class A state champion, they were the national champion, which is something that I remember Lawton at 93, maybe I'm blowing the year, I know, but Lawton was had a national championship team, but as you can imagine, Lawton is substantially larger than Clinton. And I remember one year, Union or Jinx was rated #1, and I don't remember if they ever got it finished. It seems like something happened and they didn't finish the season to get that. So this Friday night, I believe the last I've been told, there are going to be about 23. This is a resolution that in 1968, and early in the Senate and House of Representatives year, when they met, they came up with essentially a proclamation saluting and honoring the first Oklahoma high school team to be selected #1 high school football team in the nation. It also talked a little bit about some of those young men who are now 45 years older. So they think they're going to have about 23 guys Friday night. Of course, there were 4 coaches on that team. And one of them, Ron Engel, he was very kind last Friday to give us some information and I've seen the picture. So what they've basically asked for is a proclamation to declare Friday a day to celebrate the accomplishments of the 1967 Oklahoma Class A state champion and high school national champion, the Clinton Red Tornado team members, managers, and coaches. And I put a proclamation together, kind of using some of the information off of that. I think each council person has one. If you would like to read this when we are done, you're more than welcome to come up and take a look at it. It's just to recognize the 67 football team. I know most people who have ever lived or been around Clinton know Roy Bell, know the name. And I always thought one of the points that I always loved is Barry Switzer when he was talking about who he would take out of all the players. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you know those names. Roy Bell was the name he picked. So that is a heck of a compliment from a coach who had a lot of success. And there were other people on that team also. One of the stories that Ron Engel told me was they played Hobart the last game of the regular season. And Hobart won state in their class in '67. And the young man who, the funeral home, I just thank you. Randy Keesaw had a fake punt. He ran all the way and scored, and they ended up winning the game 22-14. So even the great guys had to fight their way through. So the rest of the games were all substantial wins. I think it was 133 to 12 were the points scored in the 3 playoff games. So to me, it's a great honor. It's great when you talk about Clinton football lore. This is the team, 65. They lost in 66, 67, 68. But they said in some of the information I saw that I believe there were 9 D1 players. Not only that, these young men on this team were very academically, they had great academic intelligence, and a lot of them went on to college. So this team, the 67 team, will recognize them Friday night at halftime, and I would like the council to basically approve this concept to declare Friday a day to celebrate the accomplishments of the 67 Red Tornado football team.
So moved.
Second. Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith? Yes. Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
And Mayor.
With honor. That's going to be fun. Aren't you glad football stuff doesn't come up every night? We never get to go home.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
But then I said, well, Randy was on that team. Exactly what I said.
Yep. There are a lot. It's amazing the names that are on that team. And he told me the name of a trainer who had passed away. It's one of the men who have, over the years. Consider and adopt resolution, thank you all. Consider and adopt resolution 807 relating to the incurring of indebtedness by the Clinton Public Works Authority waiving competitive bidding thereon and declaring an emergency. This is a follow along. You see, you have the comments.
Yeah, this is the council action regarding this refi.
That's why you guys didn't leave.
You
got it.
I noticed it, Bill left. Did I get his name right? Yeah, he left. Yeah, you guys are sitting there going, well, that's kind of unusual. Any questions or comments from the council related to this follow along?
Move we adopt resolution 807.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith? Yes. And Mayor.
Yes. I knew this was here, but honestly, when we got started, I forgot it was back here. The city manager report for the city of Clinton.
We go to the next time. Could I get a separate motion on the
Emergency, if you'd like one, that would be no problem. Can I have a separate motion to first and
Second.
second? Thank you.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith? Yes. Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes, thank you, appreciate that. You guys drive safe. I'm sure you're gonna stick around and talk to the city. City manager's report, we'll move on to that for the Clinton City Council.
Council, a couple items here. First off, we're going to have architects here and consultants this week to really walk through ACME, do a feasibility study, talk about the future of what we need at ACME in the facility. Great facility, couldn't say enough good things about it, but with every facility, need to look to move forward in the future and need some updating, upgrades. How's our programming look, and how does the future need of the program? So we'll go through that, and hopefully have that report back to you in a number of weeks, but, and it'll show some things like costs, and we can look at timelines and things, but I think it's a good step forward in how we use Acme and where we go from here. Last, we're about wrapped up downstairs. You can hear a little work going on. Those are the final details. The chief's going through some punch list things, and we'll do some more punch list stuff tomorrow. But what we'd like to do is about 5 o'clock, November 6th at our meeting, right before our council meeting, I'd love to give you a tour of downstairs, have the chief walk you through everything. So if you wouldn't mind, we will remind you, but at 5 o'clock, the 6th, I'd like to give you a walkthrough, and so excited about what that looks like down there. And if you remember how it looked like, just think about that, and then you'll be very excited how professional a facility we have downstairs. And our fire station is moving forward, it continues moving forward, we're very excited about that. And our airport projects continue to move forward. We'll open the runway, we hope by the end of this week, and those projects move forward. We're getting through some of the moisture issues we have. So just a quick update on a couple things, and again, look forward to showing you downstairs in a couple weeks.
Questions for the city manager from the council? Not seeing any audience participation. If you have any item that you'd like to bring before the council at this time related to pretty much anything, since I skipped the PWA, that also would be available. And Mr. Moore.
I want to touch a little bit on what the Republic proposal is for our garbage situation that we have here in Clinton. That's coming to a head shortly, one way or the other. I spent another 4 hours on this, looking at this and going over the city properties again and again, and I cannot understand, and you will not be able to convince me why we have to go in and change our complete operation of our garbage collection city facility. Now, this is what I have looked at all over town. And I'll say one thing for Councilman Hewlin over there, he better get his helmet on, because you still live on Blackstone? And you all have all the dumpsters.
We have polycarts on my side of the street. On the north side of the street.
It's the
they
north
have
side I'm
dumpsters
talking about,
along
yes.
Darby,
There's 8 of those dumpsters going up and down that. It's a long block, Blackstone. I don't think the people of Clinton realize those dumpsters all over town in the residential area are going to be gone. And this has nothing to do with the commercial part of it. And I was here last night, and I'm just gonna be here a few minutes right now. There is a safety issue with this whole situation if it was to go proposed like it is now for all of these individual pickups that Republic has to do versus the very limited that the city would do because we have the dumpster facility. And there's areas in this town that what they're proposing, it will not work. Because there's not room, areas weren't designed to have those type of vehicles in there to pick up the existing garbage disposal, whatever they're, polycarts or whatever they end up doing. And in my opinion, if this goes through, after it's signed, you're going to say, oh, we need this changed, oh, we need this changed, oh, we can't get in there with that. And that's going to fall on the residents of the city of Clinton to make adjustments to fit them. And the thing about it is, we don't need them. They want us. And this whole deal, I'm presuming, started with recycling, and I'm not against recycling. But us don't upset all of this other smooth operation that our dependable people are doing for us now. I don't think there's anything wrong with what the collection of the garbage, our workers, and the price that we have to pay the residents for the services, I think are good. And I certainly think that you're gonna see a major readjustment situation if you go ahead with this proposal and if it was approved. And just safety features, I passed on that, I touched on that last night. You probably don't even, you've got to realize, and you've got to go count the houses, and you've got to go down the street. And that's exactly what I've done in several areas. The congestion that's going to happen, if their proposal goes through, right down here on our main artery that goes through town, we have 16 houses right down here, just from Frisco on down to the edge of town. Their vehicle will be in our roadway, Highway 183, making these 16 stops to pick up this garbage. And you take all these tanker trucks and stuff we've got flying through here, that is nothing but a safety hazard. Number two part I would put is South 10th, the major artery. And for the safety of the school children that blend down through there, the idea of this truck making all of these stops, and I won't go into it, I know exactly every stop they would make down through there is going to be a jam-packed confusion for the automobiles. There's a safety factor in there for the school children trying to come down through there. And the recycling is great. I touched on last night, I haven't heard anything that came up, probably nothing happened. We had a recycling roll-off facility here in this city at one time, but it's kind of disappeared or something. I want to say that we have this miniature city dump here for the citizens of Clinton. And I'm proud of that mini dump site down there. I mean, it is kept clean. Those people are helpful. But the city needs to let the rest of the community know we have it and it's available. And that would also help clean up a lot of our alleys and so forth if we get this information out to the people. I understand that even brush haul off, I think everyone is entitled once per year if they want to clean up their property. Call the city, come and do it one time per resident per year. The other is on a lot of this pruning and brush and stuff like that, I think we still have our chipper in the truck that we can go out to the community, throughout the community, and when the people would call in that are doing their own trimming and so forth, if they'll call in, make an appointment, I think on Thursday that truck circulates the town, which is a real good service, if people know it's available to them.
Thank you.
So we have a lot of good services, but I don't think that it's promoted enough for the residents of Clinton to know that.
Appreciate that. I would just say, you know, the last two items, the facility on Glen Smith will not change. It's going to continue to be there, be available. What the city provides in services will not change from the standpoint of if you've got a situation that we need to pick something up, or if there's something we need to do something with. The point that I would say to you, and we're going to go through two more of these meetings. I know we've got visitors here, but the point I would make to you, when you talk about what you pay for garbage today, this concept has the ability to not just recycle, it has the ability to reduce what's going into the landfill to the point where Clinton can benefit financially from what is not going into the landfill. When we reach a certain level, you have the ability of Clinton receiving compensation, part of that. Also, if other cities join in, if they are successful, that's to be seen. I don't know whether they will or they won't. But it still reduces what goes into our landfill. If we decide this is not something we want to do, in 4 years, we have to renegotiate our contract with Republic. In 5 years, following that, 9 years total, we'll have to renegotiate our contract again. 5 years has been kind of the standard. I can't tell you what it's gonna cost to put trash in a landfill 9 years from now. But I can tell you, if we implement this program, we actually have the opportunity to see 10 years with just a cost of living increase, which we're gonna pay anyway in each of those 5-year contracts. And we have the opportunity not only to lock in for 10 years our costs, but we have the opportunity to perhaps have some kind of a rebate system, and if it is successful, perhaps a jobs in Clinton at the recyclery, and perhaps lock in an opportunity for our citizens not to be beat about the head and neck because we don't have a dump. We have to pay their recycling, their landfill charges. So I would put that forward. I appreciate your comments, Mr. Malloy, and any other comments or questions?
I want to make one more comment, just to come back to what you just were talking about. If these people come in here and make a $2 million investment, now that's what's been thrown out there, plus their overhead of operation, you better look several years down the road before the city of Clinton ever realizes any profit being made from this situation.
Mr. Malloy,
Thank
you made a lot of generalizations. All I can tell you is the contract will detail what we will benefit from when we get to that point. When we go above that tonnage, we will benefit from it. Generalizations don't help. To say that Republic, people have said Republic won't make any money at this. Republic's a very smart company. From what I understand, this went to their board. They believe this could change what's going into the landfills. It could change dramatically Western Oklahoma's what's going into the landfills. It's an opportunity they think they can make money at. They're a pretty good company. So, and we will have meetings, which I'd like to invite everybody to. Next Monday night will be Dawn's ward meeting, and 2 weeks from last night will be Councilman Hewlin's meeting. So we still have a couple opportunities. If you have questions, I know we've tried to get the information out. It's never perfect. It's one of those things you continue to try to get information out on what's available and what the concept is. I also hope to have the contract available so that we can kind of peruse through that and see what we're looking at. Any other questions or comments from anyone in the audience related to anything?
I'd just be happy to get rid of the dumpster behind my house.
You know, a lot of people have told me that. I have a dumpster, and half the time I can't get anything in it because it's full. It's right behind my house, and I don't think it's my neighbor's. So I have one behind my office, and I've heard that from a lot of people. I look forward to getting the polycarts. So any other questions or comments?
I think we would like to say, Bob and I, say thank you to all the employees and staff that came out, as well as all the citizens of Clinton that came out.
Good crowd.
We stopped at 66. We really don't know how many was here, but we know at least 66, so maybe 70 people. But it was an excellent turnout, excellent just debate, comments. And we have been listening to all of them, those that are for and against both. And so we do appreciate that, though. So we look forward to the 2 board meetings coming up.
Any other questions or comments?
I move we adjourn.
A second.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilman Rodoff? Councilwoman Smith? Yes. Councilman Marcy? Yes. Councilman Bugler?
Yes.